Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Salvation Elite. I hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas, and hopefully moving forward, we'll have a very happy New Year's. But man, today we're finally talking about the news that dropped this week, like basically over Christmas, about the Call of Duty League changing its format. Activision finally listened to us. We finally have some positive news about the Call of Duty League, and we're gonna go through some other things as well to catch up on some of the pro news out there. And yeah, get us ready heading into January, only a few weeks away now from the first event of the year. So finally, after the whole community kind of just didn't know what to think of this format for the Call of Duty League. I know a lot of people were very negative about it. I wasn't a big fan of it. If you guys have watched some of my past videos, you knew I wasn't a big fan of everything going on there. It just didn't make much sense how some teams had to fly overseas to play one match that could be like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then they're done. Or how, you know, you're flying to one event to play one match, then the next week you're flying to another city to play just one match again. Like, what? It makes no sense. And then they're all just league matches, so they don't really mean that much. They're not tournaments or anything else. So anyway, the system wasn't that logical, didn't make much sense. So finally, they announced that they're revamping the schedule for the Call of Duty League, and now most of the homestands will be a tournament-based format. So we don't know all the details yet. We don't know exactly how it's going to look, but what we do know is what they posted on their site. And first of all, they actually also changed some of the matches for the first event of the year. So the first event of the year isn't actually a tournament format, but there's a lot of games being played. So each team is playing 2 matches that weekend, and they actually did a really good job of lining up some of the biggest matches, the matches that the community actually wants to see heading into this first event. And so that was really, really good to see. I'm totally fine that it's not a tournament format because it's the first event of the year. We just get to see these teams compete it out, get a good feel for where teams are, and then we head into the tournament. Maybe that helps seed the teams. Who really knows at this point? So I am actually looking forward to that. But after the kickoff event, this is what the Call of Duty League says on their website. So launch weekend will feature predetermined matches in which each team competes twice in head-to-head play. Each home series weekend thereafter will feature 8 teams competing in a tournament-style competition, providing an opportunity to reign over the weekend bracket and add to their individual Call of Duty League season point total. So apparently, each team's every single weekend will actually compete in a tournament style format at all of these events, but it's hard to say exactly how that's going to look considering it's not all the teams that are in the league. Is it going to be a one and done format seeded based off of the previous point totals? Is there going to be a pool play then a one and done tournament? Is there going to be a pool play then a double elimination tournament? Are they just going to start based off the seeding of the previous events and then just do straight double elimination tournaments? Or is it going to vary throughout the year? Like, there's a lot of questions that kind of immediately pop up there when going off of their description of the season and how these events might work. And so I think everyone's really excited about the change as a whole. Before, the season just lacked passion, it lacked weight, it didn't feel like much was on the line week to week. And so now, at least if it's in a tournament setting where you earn more points by finishing first and it helps your season long seeding a lot more, like, that'll be at least more entertaining, a lot more interesting. Because before this, heading into this, I was almost just as excited about the AM tournaments as I was about the CoD League events themselves, because they were just going to be some type of season matches. But now that we got some sort of small tournament going on each weekend, that'll be really, really fun and keep things pretty interesting throughout the season. So overall, it's a really positive change. I'm still not totally sold on like the playoff aspect and how these full-on events would actually work, considering, like they say here, like what it was before, they still say that at the end of the regular season, the top 8 ranked teams, including 4 wild card spots, will advance to the playoffs. During the Call of Duty League Championship weekend, the final 6 playoff teams will face off in a double elimination competition until the final 2 head into the COD Championship. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not sure how much is actually on the line through these tournaments, but the fact that it's a tournament is just more interesting overall as a whole. So it was a very, very positive change. So I'm excited to see what potentially could come from that. It's just really straight up exciting to see that they're finally listening to the community. I mean, I was pretty worried considering like the system didn't make much sense at all heading into the year. And so for them to finally change it and, you know, realize that tournaments are the way to go for esports, that's a positive. It's just a definite positive heading into the year. And so hopefully it's a good time for the future of the Call of Duty League, that they're going to be receptive and willing to make changes based on how this plays out. And hopefully next year it'll be even better. I mean, my dream format is similar to what we've had in the past, where we have big time tournaments you know, maybe once a month or maybe even twice a month. It doesn't have to necessarily be double elimination. I'm 100% down for some single elim tournaments because it's just better that way. Like the amount that's on the line each match is just really, really exciting. I know it's not as fair to the players. It can come off a little fluky. As a fan, seeing single elimination after a pool play, I think would be fairly, I mean, I think if we saw a single elim tournament after playing pool play, that would be pretty doable, and it would be incredibly exciting as fans to be able to watch this each weekend. And it would be shorter than a double elimination bracket where you have so many meaningless games that you have to play early on in the losers bracket. So in my opinion, I'm not a fan of double elim tournaments. Like, just as a viewer, I totally get it. As a competitor, you want to play as many games as possible, but now that we're in a pro league setting, these guys are getting paid to play, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities. They have guaranteed contracts. They're more likely to stay on their teams. I think single elim tournaments would be really, really fun down the road. At the least, if it's not like officially part of the league, maybe they do just some straight up showcase matches or showcase tournaments, just straight up for money, that these guys can compete in single elim tournaments, because I think it would just be a really, really fun spectacle for the fans. The other things I want to talk about real quick were some of the substitute changes that we've seen the past few weeks. Obviously, there's been a few of them, and I haven't really talked about them on the channel enough. So first of all, the most recent one was that Mbos was signed to Huntsmen as a sub, which I think was a really decent signing. I know people are hating on it, but I mean, we talked about this on the podcast, actually, the best of 3 podcasts. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, we just started this recently. It's our weekly podcast talking about Call of Duty Esports, and yeah, it comes out basically every Tuesday, and so I would really appreciate if you guys checked it out. But we talked about kind of how the substitute spots work and why none of the elite players that are AMs that are currently not on a team, they're trying not to sign with teams because it's kind of a disadvantage for them, and it caps how much money they can potentially earn. So anyway, that's why it's tough for teams right now to find subs. But whole different thing. Bose is a sub. I like it. I think it makes sense. The more that Hex can do to make the Huntsmen feel like OpTic is just a win, I think, in my book, and a win for, I think, a lot of the fans as well. I know a lot of the competitive scene hates on Bose for being lazy and not trying or whatever, but, you know, but at some point, you just gotta let the dude live his life. Good for him, man. He got signed. Worst case scenario, he's friends with the right people, and, you know, you just gotta respect it. So again, on videos specifically, I haven't talked that much about the Call of Duty League lately because I've been doing it on the podcast, so I've been really trying to funnel that into the podcast. So I really, really recommend that, because we talked about the media days and the players meetings and some of the 2K tournaments and so much more on the podcast. And so I would really, really appreciate it if you guys check those out, because I think we go through a lot of really cool stuff on there. I think we have some pretty good conversations, and it's just getting better and better because, again, trying to figure out the whole podcasting game. So when it comes to like technology, recording, audio, everything else, we're still hammering out some of the kinks when it comes to podcasting. But I really, really do appreciate you guys checking out this video and potentially checking out the podcast as well. So if you guys enjoyed it, like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I really, really do appreciate that. I'm trying to do this full time, long term, and I cannot do that without you guys. So I really, 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 truly do appreciate that. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, CDL Elite, and we will see you next time. I'm out.